All right, we are ready to go live here. Welcome, everybody. Glad to have you with me. If you can hear me, please tell me the sound is great. Tiffany, I appreciate you helping me out with this. So give me let me know in the chat here that you can hear me loud and clear, because I always get worried that the technology, you know how it goes. So anyway, today we're going ninja negotiating tools when buying a house to flip. So this was all per your request. So what you're going to walk away with today is ninja negotiating tools when buying a house to flip. We're going to dive into all the signs, predictions, and expert analysis for the next 6 months in real estate. We're going to talk about why now is the best time to negotiate discounts in more favorable contract lengths. And we're also going to go into my one phrase that almost guarantees the seller will lower the price on the spot. You're going to hear it. It's really good. And complete step-by-step walkthrough on how to handle a meeting with a seller. We'll go through it all here. You're going to walk away with each one of these things by being here with me today. So I want you to get huge value out of it. Disclaimer, this is for entertainment. Every situation is different. One size not fit all. There's no guarantees. Before you make financial moves, talk to a real estate professional, attorney, CPA professional. We could get sponsorships or guests that give us things. As with anything, life and result comes through education, following a system, hard work, and determining to follow through until the end. I think that last one's most important. So appreciate the shout outs here. Myron, you can hear me. Fantastic. Deborah, appreciate you being here. China, thanks for being here. Delvin, I'm glad you can hear me loud and clear. We're going to rock. We're going to have some fun. Review of wholesale. So last time we did a wholesale live cast number 2. This was how to get properties under contract correctly, how to find cash buyers that have purchased properties in similar areas to the ones you want to wholesale, closing and getting paid. So if you missed that live cast, go direct to our YouTube channel. It's titled Wholesaling Part 2, Finding Cash Buyers. So you want to look at that. So I want a few welcomes. If you're joining live, please participate with me. Give me your name and the city you're investing in. I really want to know who's here and which states and areas you're investing in. If you're watching this, the recording, join us live, 6 o'clock every Tuesday, Eastern Standard Time. Where we do a lot of great stuff here. And the benefit of being live is you can ask questions. And so for those that are here live, if you have questions, just put them in the chat. I'm answering them, I'm watching them, and I'm going to get answers and respond to you. And I'm also going to do some shout outs. I'm sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. I'm mildly dyslexic, so I mix things up. And the chat over here is just really small, so I can fit all this stuff on my screen with a broadcast and all that stuff. So please, if I do, please forgive me. Today's topic is based upon your request. If you want to know more about something, type it in the comments. Tell me what you want to hear covered, and I am going to cover it. I want to give you what you need out of these live casts. Okay, let me just get up to speed here. So Naveed in South Jersey, thanks for being here. T. Parker in Dallas, Texas. Fantastic. Hill Pineshire, North Carolina. Appreciate it. Arlington, Texas. We got a lot of Texas in the house. Delvin in Chicago. Thanks for being here. Tiffany, VA. Want to invest in MD, VA, and New York. Okay, Frank. Scranton. Frank, you weren't here last week, man. I did a shout out to you, and it was like a ghost town out there. So thanks for being here today. So if you like these live casts and you want to see them continue, let me know. I am really upset, and I'm like, seriously, I am ticked. I put my heart and soul into these live casts. I really do. If you've been here and you've been watching them, you know that I do. And last week, I got my first thumbs down on a live cast, on a video. It wasn't during the live cast. It was after somebody that watched it, and they give me a thumbs down. And I have never gotten a thumbs down before on a video that I've produced, and I'm really ticked off that somebody would give me a thumbs down. I have no idea. So my confidence really needs your help. This week, I need everybody listening to go give me a thumbs up, because my confidence is really waning. And if you want me to continue these live casts, hit the thumbs up, smash the thumbs up button on this video when it comes live. It will really help me feel better about myself because that one thumbs down is really a dagger. So also subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave a comment on the recorded video. It's a big help. If you're willing to do one of these, tell me. You'll hit the thumbs up button. Type it in the chat so that I know, so I can give some confidence back and we can deliver some great value to you. So type I want more or hit the like button when you do that. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. So sorry, buddy. It was a crazy day. I love it. We got a few comments. Let's just see here. Riskless Adrian in the greater Toronto, Canada area. Riskless, you've been here before. I appreciate you being here. Let's see here. Greg, Texas, Rio Valley area. Fantastic. Naveed, thanks. Give me the thumbs up. Frank, sorry, buddy. It was a crazy day. I know how those happen. Glad you're back here. T. Parker, thanks for the thumbs up. Greg, thanks for the thumbs up. Keep them coming. That's what I need. Let's jump back. One of the things I like to do, given where we're at with the state of things in the world, I like to talk about COVID. I'm going to do a little COVID update here again. So COVID-19, United States is 13 days over the hump. Yeah, that's fantastic. We can see the trend continue to go down here. So if you look at today, and I shot this a couple of days ago, so we're actually a little bit further past there. You can see May 1st is this line right now. You can see the hump. We're really getting over that hump. We are continuing to move, which is fantastic. We still have plenty of ICU beds. We have a little bit of a shortage in normal hospital beds, about 2,300, but we have more than enough ICU beds to make up for that. So overall, things are looking good in that. Maryland, somebody was here from Maryland last week. If you're still here, give me a shout out so I know you're here. I did this just for you. You guys are 3 days since the peak a few days ago. More than enough hospital beds. You see there's 2,800 needed. There's 3,900 hospital beds. There's 678 ICU beds with 266, and there's 412 left over. So plenty. And you can see here, May 1st, you guys are over the hump as well. The hump, let me explain the hump. That's number of new people infected. So there's still going to be people, unfortunately, that are passing away. There's still going to be some time for them to get over it, but you're over the number of people being affected. So USA Today reported doctors started second round of COVID-19 vaccination trials on volunteers in Seattle. So that's exciting. That's a second round, which is really exciting. Sky News reported that the UK has started human trials as well in the UK, which is really exciting to see those things happening. That's really one of the things I'm looking forward to, is seeing the vaccination come pretty quickly. NPR Radio reported that Georgia, not the country, but the state in the United States, favorable data, enhanced testing, and approval of overall health professionals motivate the mayor to reopen some businesses in the next week, which is exciting. In my home state of Utah, we're starting to reopen some stuff next week as well. Some stuff that was shut that was non-essential. Non-essential businesses preparing to open in Texas. I got a few Texans out there. Give me a yeehaw for Texas. I guess, I don't know, is everybody in Texas a cowboy, or are there a lot of drugstore cowboys, or they're not wannabe cowboys? So anyway, I don't know. I was kind of a drugstore cowboy, just for the record, and I still go to the rodeos if you want to know. So if you're in Texas, give me a yeehaw. Non-essential business are preparing to open in Texas as well, which is exciting. Gyms, salons, that type of stuff. Oklahoma, News 9, and Oklahoma plans to reopen. Governor said they've got a multi-plan, the reopening. So it's great to see some activity and some things that are happening. My COVID on the recap is it's been a lot less deadly than expected. Hospitals have not had nearly the demand as expected. The $350 billion has gone to businesses, and now we've got another, $400 billion that's coming out. So that's exciting to see that. That opened on Monday. And so non-essential businesses are starting to reopen, which is really good. States are starting to get the economy reopened. So let me just jump over here. Thanks for the thumbs up. I really appreciate that, guys. I need that. Please do it on the videos as well when they come out here shortly. I'm partner with you all, but haven't been able to get a deal, either wholesale or flip. Awesome, Deborah. You are in the right place. So what I'd really recommend is, if you haven't been watching the live cast, please do. And you've got to be, and if you haven't gone to the Investor Edge training, that should be number one thing you do, because the Investor Edge training will show you exactly step by step what to do to get some properties under contract. And if you haven't done the certification courses, the ones for the valuing basics and the valuing advanced, and the Investor's Edge courses. I would highly recommend those. So a lot of stuff to help you out. You keep cutting out for me. Is everybody else, Deborah just reported that the audio keeps cutting in and out. Is everybody else hearing the audio loud and clear? Please let me know audio's good. Because Deborah, it might be something on your end. Not at all. This is George. Not everybody in Texas is a cowboy. I'm glad to know that. Okay, Deborah, no way transplant from Ohio. Okay, got it. Fantastic. Keep the questions coming. Let me know if you can hear me. It's important. So next, let's talk about housing and the housing forecast. And some new stuff came out today that I didn't get a chance to add to our slides here. But according to the last update, home prices in U.S. cities are still rising and approach since spring of 2020. So at least one forecast says that trends are going to continue over the next few months. The National Association of Realtors said they did a survey, and 74% of the ones that responded said prices are not going down. So they really believe that sellers are not going to be lowering their prices here. So that's a new thing. So the truth is, it would take a lot more than a short-term economic shutdown to cause a nationwide real estate market crash in the U.S. It's going to take massive job losses and income reduction. We've had some of that, but we're starting to see people coming back to work, especially with the payment protection money that's happening. Houses values continue to climb. The Home Buying Institute addresses the question, will the U.S. real estate market crash in 2020? And they're saying they don't think so. That's one of the common questions we've seen. At this point, it seems unlikely that the housing market will crash. And I'm seeing this from a lot of places. We reported last week that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were expecting to have 15% of the overall volume, so 15% less transactions happening, but they were expecting for prices to actually go up for the median and for the average about 1%. And I'm going to talk about this here in just a minute, but the houses that you're going to see going down are going to be houses in the higher price range where there's less activity. So I'm going to talk more about that here in just a minute. But home prices might drop in some cities, especially the pricey ones. So we're going to talk about that. Home values continue to climb. The U.S. housing market is not nearly as fragile as it was with the last crash. In the 2000s, reckless lending practices created a ticking time bomb of unaffordable mortgage loans. That's not the case anymore. Whoa. And then people who had no business taking on a mortgage loan were qualifying with ease. So that was creative financing type stuff. Okay, house values. Oh, let's see. We've already gone through that. Realtor.com reported national housing forecast that home prices growth will flatten with expected increase of 0.8%. Inventory will remain constrained, especially at entry-level pricing segments. You're seeing this again, entry-level, anything under the FHA range, and I'm going to get into this. Mortgage rates will bump up slightly to 3.88% by the end of the year. Tight inventory coupled with rising mortgage rates will lead to dropping sales, so they think there'll be fewer sales, but again, we think prices will remain solid where they are. Buyers will continue to move to affordability, benefiting smaller mid-sized markets. This is what we're going to be talking about here, guys, is affordability. That's where we want to be investing. So we'll see prices for affordable and started houses continue to increase at or near double-digit rates while the general real estate market goes up near or just above the rate of inflation. So this, again, is from Realtor.com. Specific areas may appreciate or depreciate depending upon inventory and demand, and we can use consumer demand for each generation to give us a housing market for 2020 and beyond. I've always been a fan of lower price houses. So here's the big take on all this. We're expecting housing prices to remain, the average and the median, to remain increasing 1%. So basically remain the same. But we're expecting overall volume to drop by 15%. So there'll be 15% less transactions than there was prior. Okay. So what you're seeing is you're going to have some people that say, you know what, I'm worried about my job. I'm worried about this or that. I'm just going to stay put. Instead of moving up to a bigger house, I'm just going to stay put. But where you're going to see most of the change happening is in your higher price brackets. Because what happens is your vacation homes and your higher end homes, they take the brunt of it anytime there's any type of a move like this. So I think what you're going to see is like 50 or 60% of those homes, you're going to see less demand in that. And you may only see 5% less demand in the under 500,000 or the under 350,000. So what I'm saying is if you're investing, the best place to be investing, and I've said this for years because I went through 2008 as well, and this has always been my motto, is you want to be under the FHA loan limits for your area. So you can just type in Google, what's the FHA loan limits for the county that you live in, and it'll tell you what it is. And then you also want to look at the median or the average house in that area. So FHA may be 500, but the median or the average may be 250,000. And if that's the case, you want to be in the lower of those two. You want to be in the lower of the median or average or the FHA. You want to be in the lowers of those two. And that's what you're going to sell the house for. That's not what you're going to buy the house for. That's what you're going to sell it for. So if the FHA limit's $500,000, but the median's 250,000, you want to be selling your properties for somewhere around $250,000. So with that, then you need to buy it and rehab it. So you've got to buy it for, I don't know, 175,000 or 225,000. It just depends on the rehab and where you're at. So that's the key here. So to have success as we move out of this COVID into this new market, you've got to be in the right areas. You've got to be under the median or at the median or the average, and you've got to be under the FHA loan limit. Basically, the Federal Housing Administration says this is what we can lend up to. Anything over that becomes jumbo and expensive in those things. So you want to stay out of that. So what I'm saying, my predictions are you're going to see the jumbo and the higher end prices, the higher end homes, you're going to see a lot more less activity in those properties than you're going to see in the median and the average. So those may go down by 50% and these may go down by 5%. So does that make sense? If so, tell me that makes sense. I need to make sure you're tracking with me here, that we're on the same page with everything. So Parker, thanks. Glad the audio is working. George, glad the audio is working. Glad to hear you guys finally landed in Alabama. Awesome, Carl. Glad to hear as well. Okay, FHA and under, we talked about that. So I just want to make sure everybody's with me on this. Stay under the FHA loan limit. If so, put it in the notes here. Put it in the chat. Okay, the move down effect. This is the other thing that happens when we're dealing with properties like this, is you have this move down effect. So the lower range is better. That's what I was just talking about. As long as you're not in bad areas. I'm glad that I referred back to this slide. You don't want to be in the ghettos. You don't want to be in the slums. You don't want to be in the war zones. So and avoid the temptations to do high-end homes. When I got into fix and flipping, a lot of people were like, hey, if you can flip a house and make $15,000, why don't you flip $1 million house and make $200,000? And I can tell you right now, that is a bad idea. High-end homes need special lights, paints, fixtures. I did buy a high-end home one time. I learned my lesson. I thought I was going to make a ton of money. I ended up making nothing, maybe even lost a little bit. One of the things you run into is it needs like special lights. You can't just go to Home Depot and say, I need to buy a light. You have to actually go and get a special light, and you put that light in, and so it's stuff like that. Fixtures become important. Everything becomes super, super important. So again, stay under the average, stay under the median, under the FHA. Don't be in the bad areas, and look at this move down effect, because it's really big. You're gonna have people in high-end homes that are saying, I need something cheaper. You're gonna have people in mid homes that are saying, hey, I need something cheaper than that. And so if you're in that lower end price bracket, not being in the war zones, that's the best area, because that's where the most activity will always be. No matter what market cycle you're in, that will always have the most activity, is in those price ranges. Okay, Maria, thank you for the thumbs up. Appreciate it. Deborah, glad you're back on and good. And I don't know how to say your name, but thanks for the hi. Okay, 10 things you can do now to profit in this market. Okay, go make offers. Don't hesitate. Go make offers and negotiate hard. All the COVID scare, all the media, all that stuff, use it to your advantage to get discounts on properties. Get long-term contracts. Get 30 to 90-day closings. Now is the great opportunity for you to take advantage of that. If you're new and getting started in real estate, there's probably not a better time to be negotiating and getting properties under contract, because you can show the national media and say, look at all the problems with COVID, and look at the banks are closed. You can't go in, and all this type of stuff. Look at all these problems with COVID. I need lots of time to close, and that'll give you lots of time to figure things out, which is a great thing if you're getting started as a real estate investor. Improve your craft. Use these trainings. Go to the livecast. We have lots of trainings for our members on valuing properties and finding properties and rehab bids. That's the stuff I was telling you about, Deborah. So make sure you're taking advantage of that, because we want to help you find some success here. Wholesales, partnerships. Attend our weekly livecast, Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, which you're on right now. And if you're not attending live, please join us live. You can ask questions along the way, like Lewis just said hello. Thanks for being here. Find a partner with cash, credit, or both. There's not a better time to go after people who are the ups and downs of the stock market. I call it the stock market casino. There's lots of people in the stock market casino, and lots of them want to get out. And you can talk to them and help them get out and partner with you on real estate deals. Take advantage of 0% money. If you haven't seen that live cast, highly recommend you go back. It's recorded on our YouTube under Do Hard Money. And MLS Sniper, we did a live cast on that as well. Go take advantage of that. Actually, Deborah, if you missed our MLS Sniper, go watch it now. Well, not now, after you get done watching this amazing live cast. And there's also, we did one for wholesaling. We did a 2-part series on wholesaling for the live cast. Go watch both of those because that will change your world. And using seller financing. And preparing yourself for cash flow acquisitions. It's a big thing. We want you to be prepared for these cash flow acquisitions, and there's a lot of stuff that you can do around that as well. Okay, drum roll, please. Are you ready for Ninja Negotiating Tools when buying houses to flip? This was based upon the responses you gave. You said, hey, we need more things on how we can negotiate and make deals happen. And that's what we're going to spend the rest of our time doing here. So let me grab a drink of water. Okay, Ninja Negotiating tips when buying houses to flip. So when we talk about negotiating is both an art, a skill you can learn, and a science proven principles. It's a combination of those two things that gets you. It's the skill that you can acquire. It takes practice and it takes patience. And that's one of the things, if you're a new real estate investor, you probably have missed some deals because of how you said things. And maybe you haven't done things the right way and you lost out on opportunities that could have been there. It's hard to negotiate through an agent. Not impossible, but hard. It can be done, but you're working through somebody else. So it's that telephone game. You tell the agent tells the other agent, the seller's agent tells the seller. By the time it gets there, it gets misinterpreted along the way. And some of these principles will apply best when working directly with the seller rather than going through an agent. So just keep that in mind, but they can be done face-to-face or they can be done over the phone. So first, let's go through some rules of Ninja Negotiating. Number one rule, people sell houses to people they like. It's really important. So many people just get down, cut to the chase and that type of stuff. People sell homes to people they like. If they don't like you, they ain't selling to you. They'll even sell it to people for less money that they like. And if you don't believe me, just ask me about a deal that my buddy Andy stole from me. I went in the property, this was early on, and a friend of mine, I didn't know he was, went in afterwards, offered him less money, and the guy sold to him. Why? Because I didn't build the relationship and spend the time in the relationship. I got down to just the numbers, and that deal still haunts me. It's been like 15 years. He still owns the property, and every time I see him, I bring it up, or he brings it up, I guess. So I'm telling you, people sell houses to people they like. Rapport is everything. You've got to build the rapport, having something in common, making sure they like you, make sure that they know that you're on the same page with them. See, selling is an emotional decision backed up by logic, but it starts with the emotion. They have to emotionally be bought in that you're the person to sell it to, that you can help them solve their problems, and then you back it up by logic. Don't start with logic first. For any of my accountants or CPAs or attorneys that are listening out there, you're going to mess this up pretty big because you're going to say, oh, here's the numbers, here's the numbers, here's the numbers. No. Why do you guys want to sell? What's going on? Those types of things. And we'll go through this. So, and then lastly, the next one is don't be tied to the outcome. You have to be willing to walk away from the deal. When you go in there to negotiate, if you're so tied that you have to come out with the property, if you have to be non-tied to the outcome, if you do, you're going to make some mistakes along the way. You have to say, hey, I'm good either way. If we can make a deal, fantastic. If we can't make a deal, no problem. You have to be equally as willing to not get the deal as you are to get the deal. You have to be indifferent on that because it comes across. Now, do you really want the deal? Absolutely. But you have to have an abundance mindset of saying there's another one out there, and if I can't make it work, I would rather pass from a bad deal than I would do a bad deal and get myself into a bad situation. The other thing is you can't be emotional. This is a business that people get emotional in all the time. And when they get emotional, they make bad decisions, and those bad decisions are very costly. And so we do not want you to have to get yourself into an emotional situation. So you have to use the numbers to know exactly what you can pay and can't pay. So although we want you to be working with the seller to get get emotional with them, we don't want you to be emotional. And although we don't want you to go over the numbers with the seller originally, we want you to build rapport. You've got to know your numbers so that you can make a deal on the spot. Don't go over what you can pay until much later in the conversation. And we'll show you when's the appropriate time to do that. So find something in common. When you're there talking to the sellers, I like to sit down. If you're sit down, throw your feet up, and act like you're not going anywhere, like you're part of the family. And really what I want to know is like, what's going on? What's the problem? And I'm not going to say, what's your problem and how can I fix you? I'm going to say, what's going on? Like, why would you want to sell this house? The other thing, people like people that like their house. I want to say that again. People that like their house. Like, hey, this is an awesome place. Why are you getting rid of this? What's going on? And you need to figure out like how you can help solve their problem. And what people tell you the first time is not the real why. So what's going on? Oh, we just need the money. Well, what would you do the money? And what's going on? And what do you need the money for? And where are you moving to? And what's happening? And why? Once you get to that, it's called peeling the onion. And as you peel the onion, you're going to really find out that Bob lost his job and they don't have much money and they're going to move in with some family and there's a situation going on. And so your whole job is to understand what the real problem is, not the problem they tell you, the problem they don't tell you. And as you ask why, they end up telling you what that problem is. That's what your job is. And you want to get on the same page, the same side of the table. Most of the time you're against them. I'm on this side, they're on this side. No, I want to be on the same side of the table with them. I'm not opposite to them, and I am not in a hurry. Most of these appointments you should plan on 2 hours. Sit down, pull up a chair, get to know them, figure out what's going on. Help them come to better understand what the cost of your repair. So the first thing is this whole rapport building. I'm going to have plenty of time. I'm going to go to the house. What's going on? Why? Then I'm going to find their real problem. And then I'm going to start thinking about how I can solve their real problem. And then once I kind of think through that, then I'm going to say, hey, can you show me the tour of the house? And they're going to tour me on the house. And it's important they show me the tour. We're going to go over this in a minute. But I'm also going to have them help me know what repairs are going to be. And so we're going to walk through that. So Ninja negotiating principles: know your numbers and what's your top price. Make an offer for less than your top price so you actually have room to negotiate. If you can pay 100, make your offer at 90 so that they have some room to negotiate. Find a win-win that is the seller's sticking point. So what the win-win is that maybe they need help with a moving truck. Maybe if you paid for a moving truck, it would make all the difference in the world. I had a deal I was working on where the guy wanted a motorhome. And so if we could buy a cheap motorhome for $5,000 or $7,000, that would make all the difference in the world. And we said, hey, what if we bought that motorhome for you and you sold the property for this? What would that look like for you? And it was like, hey, that would be fantastic. Maybe they need help. Maybe they need help packing. Maybe they need help finding a new place to live. I'll get an agent that will find you a new place to live as part of the deal, and I'll pay for them. You don't have to worry about any costs with that. That may solve the problem. I can tell you there is something else going on that is more important than the price they're getting from their property. Again, as long as they have equity and motivation. If they don't have enough equity to even do the deal, you shouldn't have been marketing to them or talking to them in the first place. But if they have equity and they have motivation, once you find the ulterior why, what is going on that needs help, you can help solve their problem. And not only that, you can really help them. So I worked on a deal where it was an estate sale and they had no idea what to do and there was no will. And I said, what if I bring my attorney and my attorney does all the estate work for you? Would that be interest? Yes. And they sent me letters afterwards of how grateful they were that I helped them with this estate problem that they had no idea how to solve. And it was really easy for me because I have an estate attorney that took care of the paperwork and did everything for them. I paid for that. It was a couple $1,000s if I recall correctly. And guess what? I got the price that I wanted on the property. That's a win-win. They were happy. I was happy. It was a win-win. So always let them win on principles that are of little significance. So lots of times you want to have them have some victories. If you're just negotiating on the price, they want to feel like they're getting some victories as well. Okay, initial phone call. There's a motivated seller form that I use. You review the motivated seller form. You ask the questions. So I wanted to show you this. This is the motivated seller worksheet that I like to go through. And, what's your name? Now, the rapport building's not on here. Those are things you need to do, before you get into this, so what's your name? You own the property. Once you've built some rapport, the biggest rapport is going to happen when you're in person. It can be done over the phone as well if you're looking to invest remotely. So if not, who's calling for them? In case we get cut off, what's your home number, your cell phone number? Tell me a little bit about the situation. What's going on? What's the address? How did you hear about us? You can customize this. What year was the property built? What's the style? What's the size? What's the exterior? How many bedrooms? I can circle the bedrooms. How many bathrooms, living rooms, garage, detached, covered, central air? Has the kitchen been remodeled in the last 5 years? Has the bathroom been remodeled in the last 5 years? Is the roof in good condition? Was 5 years worth of life? Is the electric or plumbing, is it slab on grade? Is it in good condition? Is the landscape good or bad? Are the sprinklers good or bad? Interior paint. Basically, if it hasn't been updated in the last 5 years, I'm going to say it's in bad condition because I'm going to plan on doing that. Carpeting good or bad? Exterior. What's your square footage? What's the total square footage? Your bedrooms, your bathrooms. So those are the types of things that we're going to be asking in the upstairs, the main level, the basement, if they have that. This is just for the overall on that. Notes on the condition. What's the condition of the property? Are there any repairs needed to the property? Why are you trying to sell your home? How long have you been trying to get rid of your house? That's really a great question. When do you need to move or sell? When's the earliest you can move? How much are you asking on your house? How did you decide on that amount? And I'm not negotiating at this point. I'm just gathering information. Oh, okay, yeah, you're thinking this? Great. Well, how'd you come up with that? And I'm not saying, are you kidding me? That's too high. No, that's something, unless that would be a secondary phone conversation or an in-person conversation. What's the least you would take all cash for a quick closing? Just write it down. Doesn't matter what you say. Do you need all that cash right away? I'm setting myself for a seller financing deal if I need that. Have you had any other offers on the home? Are you currently listed with a realtor? How much do you owe on the property? Are you behind on your payments? What are the payments so that I could set myself up for a seller financing deal if I needed to? When would be a good time I come take a look at the property and any other notes? This is a form that I've used very successfully for a long time. And actually, if you hang on and you're here for it, I'll give you a copy of that form. You can download and get a copy of that form for free if that's something of interest to you. So, which I've spent years developing that form. Ask questions. This is typically done over the phone. Okay, review the seller sheet. We just went through that, and 2 ways to back up the offer. So again, this is an overview. So the first thing is you've made a relationship with a seller. You've had a phone conversation with them. You've started a relationship. You go to the property. You make a deeper relationship, or you do that over the phone in your second. Then at the point you've walked through the house with them, and they have told you how much things in the house are going to be to repair. There's a worksheet you can use that says they can write all the numbers down as they're walking through the house with you. And then there's 2 ways to back it up. So you've got the emotion, they're on, so you can show them the sold comps. Homes like yours are selling for X. So make sure this is less than what you can pay. And it depends in the area in the country that you're at. If you have as-is properties that are selling that you can get as comps, that you can say, this house around the corner sold for this house around the corner sold for this, and those are in the price range that you could actually pay and make a deal happen, that is the ultimate. In my area, I can't do that. So I have to use another way. But in your area, you may be able to do that. And you can use Investor's Edge, find out what the property sold for, print those off, take them and say, this home around the corner sold for this home around the corner sold for this. That's what I can pay you. See, this is what they're selling for. That is one way of negotiating. The other way is you show them the after repaired values and you say, hey, it looks like homes are selling for $170,000 once they're fixed up. Then you do the breakdown and you say, as you know, I'm an investor and I have to make a profit. So the investor breakdown says, I need to make 10% to cover my cost and make a little money. Is that okay with you? Meaning if I sell the house for $150,000, I need to make 15 grand. Is that reasonable? Is that fair? Are you okay with that? Yeah, sure. That makes sense. Yeah, I understand that. Okay, so this example is $100,000. So if the rehab's $25,000, and to get to that rehab, you have walked through the house with them, and they have calculated that number. I have a little sheet. You hand it to them after you've built the rapport, and as you walk around the property, you're saying, oh, it looks like the roof needs to be replaced. And they look at it and say, roofs are $15,000. They write down $15,000. Oh, it looks like the AC needs replaced. Yeah, the AC is bad. Okay, they write down $5,000. Oh, it looks like the carpet. Oh, yeah, $500. So they're making this tally based upon a sheet I didn't design, based upon a sheet that a home renovator's designed that they can then reference back to, and then they know, okay, the rehab's going to be about $25,000. And so you're saying to them, how much is the rehab again on the house? What are we we going to, oh, 25,000. Okay. You want them to come to that number. You don't want to come to that number. Then I've got loan origination. Then I've got interest. Then I've got closing and title. And then I've got my 10% profit, that we agreed to. So that means I could pay $50,000 for this house. So there's the numbers. And then like, oh, can you do any more? Well, I don't know. Where would I take something off? I'm not going to take anything off loan origination. I'm going to have to pay that. The closing costs aren't going to change. That I need to make 10% profit. I can't make less than that. That's pretty reasonable, don't you think? So that's the second way we back it up. Where the first way that we were backing it up is just by using the sold comps. This way we're using the ARV comps and we're breaking it down the other way. So again, for starting that original conversation, why do you want to sell? What's going on? Why is this important to you? And I always have this rule where you ask 4 times. Why is this important? Why is this important? Why? Ask why 4 times. The other thing is make sure they give you the tour of the property. Never do the tour alone. You want to be doing the tour with them, going through the property. You're asking questions like, how long's this been there? Or how long's that been a problem? You want to point out all the problems in the house, not in a derogatory sense. It's like, oh man, it looks like that there's something going on there. What do you think that is? Those are the types of conversations we want to have. And never tell, always ask. You don't want to say, that this is you want to say, what's happening here? What happened to this property? What happened here? What caused that? How long's that been there? Those are all things that you want to be doing. The other thing you want to do when you're touring around the house is you want to ask how much they want for the house 7 times. And the reason why I say 7 times is they're going to avoid you 6 times. So what do you want for the house? How much were you thinking? What do you need to get out of it? If you're going to give me a range of numbers, what would that be? The average person can say no 7 times, so you want to keep asking. And once they give you a number, that's when you can work with. But usually they'll say, oh, well, just give me an offer. When they give you an offer, you walk around and be like, now tell me again, how much were you thinking? I can't remember. And they're like, well, I was really hoping you'd give something. And then it's, later you're going to say, well, what if you gave me a range? Like, what are you thinking range-wise on this property, right? So those are the types of things that you're thinking as you're going through the property. And once they give you the answer, this is really important, okay? Once they say $100,000, this is the phrase that will make you a ton of money. When they say, oh, I'm thinking $100,000, you're going to scratch your head and be like, oh, man, really? You're not going to say really. You're just going to act that way, right? And then you're going to say this after you throw a little tantrum with your mouth, your gyrations of your face, like how surprised and how high that is. You're going to say, is that the very best you can do? And then you have to be quiet because the next person who speaks loses the negotiating game. So if you want to be a ninja negotiator, you close it and don't say a word and let them say it. And once they give that to you, then you know where it's at. And then you say, can you do any better than that? Again, and then you wait and see what happens. Okay, so that's the ninja negotiating. How much will this cost? So you're asking them, how much do you think this will cost? Keep a running total. What does the sheet say? What does the sheet say? This sheet that we're going to be giving them. Okay, we went through the school. Oh, okay, there's 2 schools of thought here. Okay, so the schools of thought here is you want to be the first in or you want to be the last in. So the first in meaning you want to be the first person that goes and looks at the property, or you want to be the last person. So you want to be first. You want to try and get a contract. If not, tell them you'll beat any legitimate offer by $1,000. So my recommendation on this, you try it both ways and see what works for you. So first in is saying, hey, I'm first in. Now, if you are first in, you may just want to tie up the contract and get it under contract. In one of the other trainings, in the wholesale training, the wholesale livecast, we talk a lot about, hey, you can actually lock it up, but tell them, I don't know if I can pay this much, but let's agree to it and give me a few weeks. I'll put a pencil to it, and then I'll tell you exactly. And if not, we can part as friends. That's a great strategy. Last in is referring to, I want to be the last person you talk to. Now, if you're the last person you talk to, they could sell it to somebody else before you get there because they fall in love with somebody else or they get emotional with somebody else. So that's something to keep in mind. You know what everybody else is willing to pay. They're telling you, hey, what are your other offers? What's everybody else willing to pay? So 2 schools of thought there. The other thing that I wanted to throw in here when we're talking about ninja negotiating is a lot of people will say, well, I saw on Zillow my house is worth $200,000. And it's really interesting because the CEO of Zillow actually sold his house for like $500,000 less than the Z estimate came in. Oh, here it is, $750,000 less than the Z estimate. So he sold it for $1.05 million, and the Z estimate was $1.75 million. So anytime a seller's like, hey, I looked on Zillow and it said my house was worth $100,000, I always say, oh, you know what? That's perfect, because the CEO of Zillow's home sold for, 70% less than what he thought it was worth. So if we take 70% off what you think it's worth, it's probably worth about that. So you thought it was worth 100, take 70, it's probably worth $30,000 according to Zillow. So it's a great talking point to have some conversation about what's going on. I mean, why would the guy that owns the company, the CEO, why would his house be wrong? Well, because it's never right. And we've talked about Zillow many times through this conversation. So MLS offers, ask for something you don't really want, but you can give up later. And this also applies to in-person, to direct to seller as well. Ask for something you don't really want. A great example of that, appliances, if they're excluded, ask for them anyway. Even if you don't want them, you want to put the appliances in there, because then when they come back and say, I'm excluding the appliances, you'll say, okay, you take the appliances, but let's keep the price the same. So I make an offer. It's $90,000. I want the appliances. I want all the stuff. I want the kitchen. I want the dog. I'm exaggerating, but you want all this stuff. And then they come back. They're like, they're not taking my appliances. There's no way. Blah, blah, blah. And you're like, okay, well, I'll leave the appliances, but let's keep the price the same, okay? You're giving something you don't really care about, but something they may care about. And if you end up getting it, you sell it, you use it, whatever the case is, or you could give it up as a token. So when you're making that initial offer, you want to give yourself some things. Agents are required to present your offers to sellers. And so with this, you want to make sure that you are including some of these things, because it gives you some negotiating points. Negotiating as a seller, if you're a seller, you always want to counter. You do not want to accept the first offer. Even if you like the offer, you want to counter, just counter it for $1,000 more, even if you like the offer. Because if you get an offer as a seller and the buyers are like, oh my goodness, they didn't even counter us, we could have gotten a lower price. So the rest of the time when they're doing their inspections, they're thinking, we could have bought this for lower, because he didn't even counter us. So you always want to counter, even if it's a small counter, you always want to counter. And be prepared for repairs. Plan on spending some money. So if you're a seller and you're in negotiating, plan on some repair money being spent. Luckily, I have my contractors, if they're done work on the property, they are warranting it for 90 days or something like that. So if something does break or something doesn't work that they repaired, they're liable to go and fix that. So I make that responsible per my contractor agreement, which if you're a member, you can get a copy of that. If you missed last week, so let me do a few shout outs here, because we've got a few things going on here. Okay, audio's clear. Great. Carl, glad to hear you. Okay, we talked about that. Deborah, good. Okay, hey, Maria, great. Hi, fantastic. Louise, okay, makes sense. T. Parker, wonderful. So my question is, were some of these tips and tricks, was this helpful for you? If so, say, I like the ninja tricks. Just throw that in the comments. It'd be really helpful for me. Last week, if you missed last week's livecast, wholesaling part 2, finding cash buyers, you're going to want to get that. You can go back, you can watch the replay, you can do it right now. It is well worth your time. Just go to Do Hard Money, go to YouTube, type in Do Hard Money, and then while you're there, remember to subscribe, and please like the video and leave some comments. I talked about this earlier. If you are interested, you can get a copy of our Motivated Seller Checklist, the one that I just went over. You can get the PDF version of that. So just go to Do Hard Money /motivated-seller-check-sheet. Motivated-seller-sheet. If you want to go there, you can get a copy of that absolutely for free. And the next thing I really need to know is what you want for future live casts, given that I don't get any more thumbs down. If you guys smash the thumbs up button on this new video when it comes out here shortly, then I'm going to be continuing to do this same time, same place next week. But future votes, wholetailing, you want to know about wholetailing. These are things you've requested, and I just need you to vote. So just type in what you want in here, and whatever gets the most votes is what we'll work on for next week. So wholetailing, determining repair costs, coronavirus investing, how to analyze rents, wholesaling remotely, choosing a good contractor, finding cash buyers, seller financing, contractor bids, determining rental prices, business partner deep dive, preparing yourself to buy cash flowing properties, how to make offers without seeing the properties, buying properties remotely, or something else. please comment now what you would like to see in our next live cast. Which one of these would be the most help to you? So, Carl, excellent. Really appreciate it. I appreciate that. Very helpful. Thanks, Alton. Tony, very helpful. Good. Wonderful. Deborah, love the ninja tips. Informative. Wonderful. No, it's not Deborah. Debor. Appreciate it. Karen, buy at auction. You want me to put buying at auction? I can talk quite a bit about auctions. There's two types of auctions. Anyway, but yeah, we can get into auctions quite a bit. I'm going to jot down auctions on my yellow pad here as well. As topics. So if you want to see one of these topics, please type it in here now so I know, and then we'll put something together for this next one. Any of these that you want to see, type it in the chat, type it in the comments. Oh, subject to, somebody just put subject to. I actually don't even have that on here, but we can add that as well. If you've seen something that somebody else has put that you like, add it again. Again, the most votes is what I want to do it on. Sometimes there's ties, and so I just have to make a pick. Good stuff. Thank you. Atlanta Realty Buyer Services, fantastic. Make sure you understand the numbers. Deborah, is that something you want to do a live cast on? Is understanding the numbers? I think you said you're a member. You have access to our advanced deal analysis, or ADA. You may want to check that out. It helps a lot. Finding cash buyers. Lane, we actually did finding cash buyers in our last live cast. So you're going to want to look at wholesaling session 2. We go all in on how to find cash buyers. Super, super easy. Take a look at that video. We've got that. Determining repair values. Okay. Yep. Got it. I'll put that on here as well. Repair values. I actually don't think we have it on the list here. Let's see. Oh, 2 for repair values. Okay, I like it. Number 13 and 14, how to make offers without seeing properties, buying property remotely. All right, China, appreciate it. Keep them coming. If there's stuff you want to see, please put it on here. And remember, go grab this. If you want that motivated seller checklist, I would highly recommend it. It's a great template. dohermoney.com/motivated-seller-sheet. So more information. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please share the livecast link on YouTube with some friends and family. And also check out my podcast, Income Hacker Podcast. I just want to know, if you have listened to the Income Hacker podcast, put in here, I am an income hacker. Type it in the chat here, because I'd really like to get a feel for how many of you have listened to that, so you get more information. While you're doing that, thank you for sharing your knowledge and expertise. You bet, Vivian. Tiffany, I love the session. It's a step ahead, but I like to get info for beginners. Yeah, great. Tiffany, give me a little more about what you're looking for beginners. I'd like to know more what you're thinking on that. Contractor bids. Yep, that's actually already on the list. I'll continue watching this Tuesdays. Thanks for being here, Tiffany. Really appreciate you being here as well. Again, if you have listened to Income Hacker, please put I am an income hacker in the comments. I would love to hear that and know. If not, I really recommend go to Apple, iTunes, wherever you listen to podcasts, and check out Income Hacker. So next Tuesday, as long as we get some thumbs ups and not a lot of thumbs down, I will be here next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to do one of these topics that we've talked about. Go ahead and check out the Motivated Seller at dohermoney.com/motivated-seller-sheet. And so a couple of things, a few more comments. Where can I find the podcast? You can find it anywhere. So if you're on Apple iTunes, or if you're on Stitcher, or if you're on wherever you can have, it depends on what type of phone you like, but you can find it anywhere. You can even find it on your Android or on your what's it called? Your Google Home. You can say, hey, Google Home, play Income Hacker Podcast, and it'll play the last podcast. So I hope that's helpful. If not, put a chat in here. I'll hang out for a minute. What's the website again for motivated sellers? I probably should type it in to make it easy. I've got it on the screen here, but it's dohardmoney.com/motivated sellers. I'm just going to put it in the link in the chat as well, so you could grab that. But it is dohardmoney.com/motivated-seller-sheet. Again, dohardmoney.com/motivated-seller-sheet. seller-sheet. I'm stepping over my words there. Okay, I want to be an income hacker. Awesome. So you've listened to it. I appreciate that. Keep it coming if you've listened to the Income Hacker podcast. I really appreciate it. K. Smith, appreciate you being here as well. Wonderful, guys. Well, we're going to wrap it up for today. Please put in the comments. I'll be watching these. Again, please go smash the thumbs up, and please let me know what you'd like next week's session to be on. Everyone should become a member. I love. Oh, Tepper, thanks. That means a lot to me, actually. So I appreciate it. Anybody else out there that's listened to Income Hacker, let me know. I'd appreciate it. Let us know what topics you like to be, and I will be here next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Give me some thumbs up so I can get my confidence back based upon that one thumbs down. I've never had a thumbs down, and so it's really bugging me. I've told probably 100 people that I got a thumbs down, and it's driving me crazy. So give me a massive thumbs up this week. Everybody, have a great week. Thanks for being here. I hope these ninja negotiating tips help. Let's see here. Service, this is jumping from the evaluator to an investor. Oh, fantastic, Haroon. Appreciate it. Excited to have you here. Lots of real estate agents are finding tons of value in doing both things. I actually started as an agent myself, as a real estate agent, still licensed actually to this day. It's been almost 20 years. So I think that's a great way. I call it becoming your own best customer. So appreciate you being here, Haroon. So everybody have a great evening. Let me know what topics you want for next week, and we'll see you same time, same place, Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Next Tuesday.